champion of the world, from Omaha, Nebraska.
In favor of the winner, remaining undefeated, proving he is one of the elite champions of the sport.
The fight is over. Canelo gets the knockout. T. Wilder has eradicated Dominic Brazil.
Yo, you know what this is, man. It's your favorite channel, man. It's CTV. This is Chin Tub Boxing. I'm your boy Jay Slay. Say what up to him, man.
What's up, everybody? Remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification button, comment, and let's keep this channel growing. You know why? Because we love boxing and you love boxing.
That's a fact, most definitely. This is the place where the fight fans come to get these delicious entrees of boxing knowledge. What's on the menu for them today, bro?
Let's give a quick recap of the Charlo fight and also the interesting tweet that David Benavidez put out after the fight.
Man, let's serve them up. Let's talk about it. Yeah, man, it was a great fight, actually, to me. I appreciated the fight. Montiel came in there for a fight. He was better than I anticipated, man, to be honest. While he did take a lot of punches, he did, in my opinion, block a lot of punches, too. And I think he did a good job of putting his head down. And I think that's what caused Charlo a lot of problems, too, was putting his head down. But yeah, let's talk about it, man. First of all, just start with your opinion of the fight, man. What you thought about the fight?
Like you said, I was slightly surprised. I thought that Charlo was going to get him out of there. I thought it would be a little bit easier fight. It turned into a tough fight for him, even though it wasn't close. That's what a lot of people leaving out. It wasn't a close fight. It was pretty much a shutout. But the guy was game. He competed. He gave his best. He was in front of Charlo. He made him work. And he beat up Charlo a little bit too. But in the end, I think Charlo clearly won. But some people say he was exposed and they saw some issues with him as far as his future, as far as fighting the big dogs like a David Benavidez and even a Canelo. So I guess we'll talk about it a little bit.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I agree, man. I think I don't agree with the exposed part though. A lot of people that exposed word been used a lot lately. Mm-hmm. Like the last 3 weekends, especially the last 3 fight weekends. Every fighter got that exposed word thrown to him for some reason. It's like people forgot that boxing is actually supposed to be competitive. It's not supposed to be a one-sided affair every time. I don't understand. It's like this is the new age of everybody. You put to blow out everybody, even though if you don't know the person, you especially supposed to blow them out. But we're really in actuality, man, the fighters that give a lot of fighters the hardest time to be the fighters you never heard of, or the fighters you underestimate. We did a show a while back with Andre Berto. He actually said that. He said they on the, as a fighter, they be on they be more nervous. They more nervous when they fight a guy that everybody say they're supposed to win, because those be the toughest fights. That's from Andre Berto. But what do you think that Montiel did to cause Charlo so much problems?
I think that, me personally, I just think that Charlo kind of underestimated him slightly, and he thought that he could just stand in front of him and trade and just pretty much outwill and outman the guy, and he was tough. So I think he wanted to impress people. He was back home, and I think he wanted to look great, and I think he was trying too hard. I think he didn't box enough for me. He stayed in front of him too much. He tried to make it a war. And even though I think he clearly won, he made the fight a lot tougher than it had to be, because, like you said, that was a tough fight he fought. Maybe, he's had four losses, whatever, but he's had 22 wins all by knockout. So the guy could punch. So I think also, I'm not saying it is, but he barely made weight because he had to go back and get weighed again. So I don't know, maybe he was a little weight drain for the fight. I'm not sure, but it definitely wasn't one of his better performances. So he a tough cookie.
Yeah, he was tough, man. He had to me, he had like a Margarito style. Like he was like kind of like Margarito. He really didn't have any slickness with him at all. He pretty much come straight forward and take a lot of punches. But he blocked a lot of punches. To me, he landed a lot of punches. As you saw, Charlo had the first cut of his career in the fight. So obviously to get cut, man, you obviously be taking some kind of punches. And what I said earlier in this video about the guy ducking his head a lot, I think Charlo, he had a broken hand after the fight. I think he broke his hand when he caught old dude on top of the head. I think he punched dude on top of the head, and it probably was the punch that I think broke his hand. I'm gonna put the picture in the thumbnail of his hand, but Yeah, man, it was pretty bad. You can tell it ballooned up. When he took that glove off, I'm pretty sure it ballooned up once the air hit it. We say all the time, the air hit it makes it swell better. But you can tell it's a fracture in there. It's by how bad it's swollen. So do you think the fractured hand is why Charlo couldn't get him out of there? Or you think it was just Montiel was just a tough cookie?
I think if he didn't fracture his hand, it would have made his chances better. But I still would have been surprised if he lasted the whole fight. Because I just think he's a tough fighter. I think he's not the type of fighter you could just stand in front of and think he would just walk through him. I think if he would have just maybe boxed a little bit more and frustrated the guy, he might would have had a better chance. But, sometimes, like I said, you fighting at home in front of your home crowd. It was Juneteenth. He was the headline of the card. He wanted to impress. He knows that on the horizon, he got some big fights coming up maybe. And I think he wanted to send a message. And he was I think he might have been kind of looking ahead also.
I kind of disagree with you on this one. I kind of think he would have got the stoppage if his hand wasn't broken. Okay, it was moments in that fight when Montiel was like, you can tell he was almost out of there. He was on his back foot. One time I think the bell rung and kind of saved him. And the second time I think he got badly hurt. Charlo wasn't really throwing a lot, and I think the reason why he wasn't throwing a lot probably because his hand was hurt. I want to say that. I don't want to say Charlo gassed in the fight because he don't have a habit of gassing. I never really seen him gas in a fight before off the top of my head. I can't think of. So, but I think his hand bothered him a lot. I think his hand is what kept him from throwing it with all his might. I'll put it that way. You can tell that some of the steam was off the punch more than it would normally be. But it's boxing, man. Excuses being made. Like you say, he pitched a shutout in both our opinions. If you want to be lenient, you would have gave Montiel maybe a round or two, but you couldn't give him more than two, in my opinion. But on to the drama after the fight, man. And Benavidez, doing like most fighters do. They did every other fighter, like I talked about earlier in the past. Pretty much said he'll knock out Charlo or he'll stop Charlo. What do you think about that I would say that courage. No, I want to use the word courage. I say the slick talk. I just say, what do you think about that slick talk that he's doing, Charlo?
I don't really have a problem with it because David Benavidez has been pretty much consistent as far as calling out Plant, calling out Charlo, calling out Canelo, and pretty much trying to bait these guys into, I guess, a verbal war to try to maybe get a fight. So I don't have a problem with it. He's just trying to he's pretty much putting himself out there by also selling the fight for the future. Now, as far as what he said, I don't think he can stop Charlo. Charlo seems to have a good chin. He seems to not have a problem with being hurt in his career that I can recall. So I don't know about stopping him. Now, as far as beat him, from that performance last night, yeah, if he fought like that, he probably would have beat Charlo. So I don't think Charlo would fight like that against him, but it's more interesting. And as a boxing fan, we need to make these fights. But like you said, what you said earlier, sometimes the fans can mess things up because, like you said, every time a fighter fights, you want to critique every little thing and not look at the whole picture. And then sometimes these fighters become more calculated with their career because of the backlash and the criticism you get when you go in there and have a war and a fight. It was entertaining, and you still win, like you said, 11 rounds to 1 or 12 rounds 0, or maybe 10 to 2 at the worst. And people are saying that you suck or that you've been exposed. So, I'm excited, and, hopefully in the future, he'll move up to 168, where I think it'll get real interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think I appreciate the shit talking. I appreciate it. I think more fighters should do it. I think this is the generation now. There are a lot more shit talkers. Like before, I think the generation before this, like I say, the Keith Thurman. When Keith Thurman wasn't younger, they used to try to avoid fights and try to play. They try to play like the keep away with the belts type politics, which I didn't like. And I think this generation is different. These new crop of fighters coming off of COVID, man, they hungry for a big payday for one, and two, they hungry for like to prove that they worthy of it. And Benavidez is one of those fighters, man. He is a champion. He won his belt multiple times. He lost his belt on the scale, I believe. And I don't know if he ever put the drug test or not. I'm not really sure.
I think it was for marijuana or something.
I think it was like marijuana or something like that. Yeah,
something like performance enhancement.
Yeah, yeah. But I do know he did lose the belt on the scale. I know that for a fact. I remember that. So I think, man, I'll be honest, I think it would be a good fight with him and Charlo. I give him a good chance to beat Charlo only because he is as durable, I believe, as Montiel is. He's bigger than Montiel, and his hands are faster than Montiel's. And Montiel was catching Charlo with some shit, man. I'm not gonna lie. And like you said, Charlo maybe just had a bad night in the office. It could have been a bad night in the office. I mean, everybody has them. Even professional athletes have bad nights in the office. So we can chalk it up as that because we never seen Charlo look that, I ain't gonna say vulnerable, but you never seen Charlo look that rusty. I use the word rusty. And I think Benavidez see the same thing, but if I'm Benavidez, I'm not betting my house on the fact that Charlo can look that way again. Like if I'm Benavidez, I'm trying to train for the best available Charlo. And like I said, man, it's a fight we both want, man. It's a fight I feel will be interesting. They both have their advantages in it. I lean slightly towards Benavidez, but most of the advantages only because of the size right now. That's really the only bigger advantage that I see so far between the two guys. And man, it'd be a great fight, man. I'm being honest, it'd be a great fight. Last thing about the Charlo, man, is one final topic. That is the dream matchup that we've been waiting for years. Is the Canelo matchup, man. Canelo name has come back up from the fans, not from Canelo himself, but the fans, Canelo fans, has brought Charlo in the mix and saying that Canelo will stop Charlo, and Canelo, he pretty much will dominate Charlo. He don't stand a chance against Canelo. What is your opinions about that?
Okay. Well, first thing I want to say, I've been reading a lot of posts. I've been seeing a lot of stuff online, and another problem I have with fans are because he had a tough night. All of a sudden now he's not worthy of a Canelo fight. Oh, whoa, this is the guy y'all want to fight Canelo, but you didn't have a problem with Canelo fighting Rocky Fielder. Although, or so on, his last 2 or 3 fights. Yeah, you have a problem with him fighting him, but he can't fight Charlo, who's undefeated, 160-pound champion, has good names on his resume. And I do say lately he hasn't fought, top competition that I would like to see him fight. But overall, he has as far as his resume and his track record, he should, that would be a great fight for Canelo. So stop doing that, when a guy has a tough fight. Oh, yeah, well, we don't want to see that fight no more. Or he can't fight him now. But as far as the fight, it kind of changed my opinion a little bit because I always told you I thought that Charlo was a horrible matchup for Canelo. And I still think that he is because Canelo's only 5'8" and he's 6 feet tall, a big guy. But after watching that fight, but I don't like to pick too much in one fight, I went from slightly favoring Charlo to now I slightly favor Canelo in that fight if they fought. It did change my opinion. But, I think it still would be a great and competitive fight. But it did change my opinion slightly about who I think will win. But I still think it's close to a toss-up. But I'll favor Canelo slightly now. But like I said, it could have been, like you said, one bad night in the office don't make a fighter. So that's what I think about it.
So you join my side. I remember I told you this videos back. You thought Charlo was going to have an easy work. I said, nah, I think Canelo's style is bad for Charlo. The way Canelo moves his upper body, and he had fast hands and that assassin type style is bad for Charlo. And I still believe that more to this day. I believe it more now because of the fight I seen. Like you said, even though it could have been a bad night in the office, it was still vulnerabilities that I seen that he had that I know Canelo's style is built for. Being a taller fighter for Canelo when you 4 or 5 inches taller, I don't really feel it makes that much of a difference. You can go back and watch when he fought Kovalev. Kovalev had that height advantage too, where he got Kovalev out of there. And Kovalev had more in that fight, he had more of a boxer like style. He was jabbing and moving. Charlo not gonna be jabbing and moving. Charlo gonna be jabbing and coming forward. Charlo does hit angles well, but he doesn't hit angles on the back foot. Like he's not gonna back Charlo up unless he want to back up. And I think that style is made for Canelo. But with that being said, Canelo does get hit with jabs and Canelo does gas in fights. So I'm still want to see the fight. It's one of those fights, like you said, it's too close to call right now. Cause both fighters have shown vulnerabilities in fights before. And I'm just curious on who had a better game plan tonight and who will have an off night that night. So, but I still slightly favor Canelo.
I guess we're gonna get ready to get out of here, but I'm gonna throw one little quick bonus question in there.
What's up?
What's next for Charlo? Do you rather him to stay at 160 and fight Demetrius Andrade or maybe Triple G if he come out of hiding? Or would you rather him just go up to 168 and get ready to take on these guys. Maybe after one tune-up fight at 168 to get used to the weight, to maybe fight David Benavidez or Canelo.
I'm gonna throw one other option in there. Maybe a catch weight. Maybe a Benavidez want to come down 3 pounds or so and meet in the middle. I think that'd be good. But me personally, if I'm advising, if I'm Al Heyman, I got my Al Heyman hat on, and I'm advising Jermall Charlo, I'm telling him to stay at 168, man. You only got one title down here. You haven't had a big fight.
Stay at 160?
Yeah, 160. You haven't had a big fight here at 160 since you've been here. You pretty much chased, quote unquote, chased Canelo out of the division, and then you pretty much was ducked by Triple G for the last, who knows how long, last couple years. And you still got other fights to be made at this weight, man. You still got the Jacobs out there that you can fight. You got bad blood with him, so I don't know why Jacobs' name's not being mentioned. I know he's just coming off a loss. He's coming off a loss with Gabe Rosario. But
I don't know if I want to. He won that. He won that fight. He won that fight.
In my
he
opinion,
lost it. He lost it, but he got the win. But he lost.
Yeah, he got the win, but in my opinion, he lost. I had him losing on that.
I don't know, man. I feel like Charlo at this point in his career, if he beats Daniel Jacobs, he's not gonna get credit for it. So I wouldn't fight him.
Coming off of this performance, though, you asked me about coming off of this performance.
I mean, as far as the critics are gonna say, "Oh, you beat Daniel Jacobs that lost his last fight. Oh, big deal. Oh, Canelo, he was easy work Canelo." So I like you said, I really like what you said about him staying at 160, and if he can pull a Triple G out of the hiding to fight him, I think that would be great. Being that the first fight with Triple G and Canelo was considered a close fight, but if he can't get that fight, I really like the idea you said of maybe a 164 catch weight between him and David Benavidez. It's a big fight, pay-per-view event, will make good money, so I think maybe he'll agree to that. So yeah, I do like those options that you just said.
I think he'll get more credit for beating Jacobs than he will for Triple G at this point. Triple G is coming off a year's layoff. Jacobs had a recent fight. Triple G is old as hell. I don't know how old he is exactly, but I know he's pushing 40, and Jacobs is close to the same age. And like I said, I mean, Triple G will be big money, but then you had the promotional thing in the way, the zone and the PBC in the way. But that's a whole other discussion, man. It's basically what we're saying is his options for him. Like if I'm him, 168 is not. It's not even your biggest payday at this point. Going to fight Benavidez at 168 is not even your biggest payday to be made at this point. So to me, that's an option I would not even try right now. But you got anything else you want to add to this topic?
No, I think we covered it all. Interesting topic though.
Most definitely. Well, with that being said, man, this is your favorite channel, man. This is CTB. This is Chin Tuck Boxing. I'm your boy Jay Slay. Say peace to him, man.
All right, everybody, remember to like, subscribe, hit the notification button, comment. Let's keep this channel going. You know why? Because we love boxing and you love boxing, or at least you say so. But if you do, lower at the bottom of the screen, just click on and subscribe. But most of all, God, peace, and love, and we out of here.